Hello YouTube, and welcome to my first video about my Icebear Champion CT-70 clone. Uh, I'm prepping this thing for the Trans-America Trail, which I'm going to start this May. I'm riding with my buddy. We're planning on being gone about 3 months, so definitely taking our time on this trail. And today's video, I'm just going to be showing you kind of all the modifications and setup of what I got going on for this bike. In order to make it and me survive this 3-month adventure. So I'll start with the front of the bike and move back, starting with the tires. Right now I have some cheap Chinese, what are these? Yuan Jing tires. They're just kind of mild off-road tires, and they're not what I'm taking on the trip. I'm actually taking these Maxxis M6024s or something like that. They're on Amazon. They're about $100, and those work really well, but they were getting chewed up on the road, so I wanted to get a more street-oriented tire until I left for my trip. So those will be going on before I leave. Moving further back, I have my pod lights here. As you can see, this rack I built kind of conceals the headlight a little bit. So just wanted to add some extra lights to kind of really light up the night. As you can see, these work pretty well. Definitely lights up the whole road. I usually don't like to use them in traffic because I don't like to blind other people, but on an empty country road at night, it works perfectly. Moving further back, we have one of the first big modifications to this bike that I did was building this front rack. I actually built this out of stuff, or out of the cage that the Champion came in a big metal crate. So this is just some angle iron and some flat steel with some crossbars in the middle for strength. And yeah, the cool thing about this rack is nothing on here is actually welded, so if anything breaks or bends or whatever, I can just unbolt it, fab up a new piece, and then bolt it right on. I don't have to cut up the whole rack. But it's really strong, and the only complaint I have about it is just that it's a little heavy, so it makes the steering a little bit darty. But it works for me. Maybe I'll get stronger arms or something, and it'll be a little bit better. Then on top of the rack, I have my first basket. This one's just going to hold all my camping gear and stuff. I have a Thermarest sleeping pad. This is an REI bug out bivy. Not like it doesn't block out wind or anything. It's just some netting. For warmth, I'll have a 15-degree Mountain Hardwear sleeping bag. And I think I'm going to mount that up here with a bungee cord or rock strap or something, either up here behind the jerry can. And that'll make things, it'll take up less room in the crate because the sleeping bag is probably the biggest thing I have here. I have an MSR XKG multi-fuel stove. This thing will run off the same gasoline that powers the bike. It just feeds in through this MSR bottle, which I have right here. So if I need to heat my food, I can just use gas from the bike. Or if the bike runs out of gas, I can use the fuel for my food. So kind of just all works together there. And I just have my cooking set down here, just some pots, pans, cups, silverware, whatever. Yeah. And then moving further to the back of the bike, I have a ram mount quick grip, and this thing works really well for my phone. I haven't done a ton of off-road testing with it, but it seems to hold my phone in there super solid. No complaints with it, really. Super sturdy. It's $50 on Amazon, and I think it's worth every dollar. The thing I have is this phone charger hooks straight up to the battery. I have two USB ports, 12-volt ports, and inside of there's a cigarette lighter. Also in the middle here, I have a voltmeter, which comes in handy. It just kind of tells me how my battery's doing and everything. I have my switch right here for my brights. Just cheap switch, works. Right here I have a bag for my first aid kit, matches, bug spray, just kind of little stuff that I don't really want to put in the crates, just to make sure it doesn't fall out and on the trail or anything. I also have upgraded Pro Taper grips. These are actually the same grips on my dad's KLR, just in black and red. I like these, they're really comfortable. I have a Nibby throttle tube, which is definitely an upgrade from stock. Feels a lot nicer. Yeah. Moving on to some performance mods with the engine. I got a Clone VM22 carburetor. I really like this thing. It really wakes up the engine. Barely had to do any tuning on it. It's pretty cool, and it only costs like 20 bucks on eBay. So definitely a good upgrade for this engine and for any champions. I also got a better flowing exhaust. It is a lot louder, and I did have to do some bending with it, but I think it looks all right. It did come with a heat shield, but I put some header wrap on it, and really helped out getting the bike a little bit faster. Definitely a lot more free flowing, and it's louder, so loud pipes save lives, right? Along with the engine, I have a skid plate, just a cheap one on Amazon. Costs like 30 bucks. I don't think it's really gonna save my engine like from a really bad beating, because it's pretty cheap aluminum and the construction is pretty cheap, but like if I smack one rock, I think it'll definitely save my engine at least once. Also upgraded the pegs. The stock rubber pegs, kinda, if they got wet or if they got a little bit oily, they would really be slippery, and I didn't like that at all. So these pegs are a huge upgrade. Had to do a little bit of modification to make them fit, but definitely hold my feet a little bit better, and they only cost like $30 on eBay. On to the rear suspension. I haven't modified anything back here yet other than the tire and the wheel, which I painted. I am going to get an extended aluminum swing arm, supposedly 3 inches. I think that'll really help to prevent wheelies, basically. Still waiting on it to arrive, and I'm going to have to lengthen the chain. I also bought an O-ring chain, so that'll be a little bit better. The next really big modification I did to this bike, kind of a 2-for-1, but we'll focus on the one part first, is this rack and the jerry can. This is a 2.5 gallon jerry can, and it's going to really up the range of this bike. Before, you didn't even get a gallon out of that tank that's in the bike, so this 2.5 gallon one is really gonna improve my range. I'm using this one as my main tank, and the one that's in there is gonna be my reserve tank, so I'll have a bigger reserve and a bigger main, so all around way better. I have a petcock coming out of this tank, which I can turn on and off, and then a quick disconnect fitting right here for the fuel line. So if I want to use this as a regular jerry can, I just undo the quick disconnect fuel line and turn off the petcock, and you have a regular jerry can. Right now I'm just adding a vent to it. Just took a bolt, drilled a hole in it, threaded it, or tapped a hole, threaded it in there, and then put a hose on the bolt. So eventually I'll have a one-way check valve in there, just if I roll over or something, or I dump the bike, then we won't be spilling fuel everywhere. Moving on, the third, I guess, biggest modification to this bike is the rear rack. This again was made out of stuff that, or made out of the crate that the Champion came in. Just kind of a lot beefier than the stock rack. I don't think the stock rack would be capable of this gas can and all the stuff I have in the back. So this thing's really sturdy. Does add a lot more weight, so wheeling is going to be a lot more of an issue, but I'll be able to manage. In the back here, we have our second crate and our 2 saddlebags. In this saddlebag, I have all the stuff for tires. I have 2 tubes in there, 2 bottles of this tire sealant stuff, and then a tire patch kit. And then I also have, this is the stock tube from the Champion. I upgraded the stock tubes, but this one was still good, so I just keep it in there as kind of another extra thing to have. In the back here, I'm going to be putting all my heavy stuff. I'm going to be bringing a gallon of water with me, my MSR bottle, the filler neck for the jerry can. I got a tire pump there, and then I have an Ursack for all my food. And since that's all kind of heavy, that's going to be going in the back. In here is all my tools and such. I have a full metric socket set for this bike and a full metric wrench set for this bike. Fits in there pretty nicely. I still have a bunch of tools I gotta get, but working on it. In here, I just have some extra wire, but I'll be putting a bunch of extra parts, hardware, whatever else I need kind of in that area. And yeah, that should be enough. I'm planning my toolkit to, I can basically rebuild anything on this bike if I want to, assuming I have the parts. So, simple bike, simple tool set, but yeah, hopefully it'll survive. So, this is going to be my setup for the TAT. Really hoping this bike's going to survive. Hope it's going to allow me to survive. Hopefully have enough stuff on there. I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you, and subscribe and like the video if you liked it.